Welcome to Outside the Box. I'm your host, Grant Pruitt. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Really excited today. Got a great show for you. We're thrilled to have Andy Bartels here. Say hi, Andy.
Thrilled to be here, Grant.
So, and I want to make sure we mention we got our trusty sidekick here, Zach Lewis. So,
how's it going, Grant? Long time no see.
It has been a while.
Yeah.
Glad you're back.
Thanks. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So, Andy, we're real fortunate. He's going to be the ultimate test for our company, for our podcast, because he is an actual Whitebox employee. Always dangerous. Never know what he's going to say here. He may say all these bad things. I'm going to wish that it wasn't live and streaming, right? But Andy is in our he's been tasked with our operations, with our recruiting. If anybody has reached out to our company as it relates to working at the company, you've probably heard from Andy, corresponded with Andy, and those bad emails or whatever, they're not coming from me. They're coming from Andy. Is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
So, one thing that we talk about a lot on this show is history and who you are and how you view the world. And many of the guests we've talked about where they're from, what they do. With my own self, that was a big part of our first show and continues to be important for us. So where are you from? Tell us about Andy. Who is Andy?
Yeah, sure. Well, I am from South Bend, Indiana, and decided that for college I would get out of the small town and move to a big city and
bucking the trend.
Exactly. Escaped the snow and came down to Dallas, where I went to Southern Methodist University and decided I liked Dallas enough to stay.
So what brought you to Whitebox? How did you end up here?
Sure. Well, right out of college I started working at a financial services firm. Right. And I liked it. I learned a lot, but ultimately it really wasn't for me.
Right.
I wanted, a younger culture, a little more excitement in the day-to-day, and so finding the team, finding you.
So it's funny that you say that. We have, as you know, but our listenership/viewership may not be aware of this. We do have other folks who have come to work at Whitebox from the financial services industry, especially from the stock brokerage and insurance sales aspect. A lot of people get finished with school and they've watched too many TV shows, or they saw, I don't know, Boiler Room or something like that. Yep. And they have this grand vision of going and working at a financial services firm and being a stockbroker. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
And what historically seems to happen is it's a really difficult industry. And a lot of times people have a perception of what it is, and when they actually get into the industry, it's something totally different.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, you have these aspirations of coming in and working a bunch of private wealth clients, right, and just raking it over the coals with your commissions and with your salary and everything. And then ultimately it's those kind of people who have that money aren't looking for a 22-year-old to manage their wealth. And so if you don't find the right mentorships and aren't in a productive program, then you really don't get to have those dreams come true.
Right, and there's oftentimes not maybe as much training as what might be necessary for that. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. So
there's some similarities between that and real estate. We hear a lot of people that get into the real estate business that hear of a long ramp up, and one thing that we're really cognizant of is how do we shorten that learning curve? How do we make sure that the people that we hire that are new to the business are as successful as they can possibly be, starting day one. And there's a couple things that we do, and you know, one of them is we try and break a much larger market down into a sub-market.
Yep.
And then the other thing that we do is we try and work on training and getting them the training that they need to at least get to a level to where they can help on deals. You know, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the differentiators that you've seen and that as a firm we've worked on to ensure that our people have the knowledge and the resources in order to be successful?
Oh, certainly. I mean, I would say the number one factor in making sure that anyone who's joining the team is learning as much as they can is just treating that person like a person. When they come on, they get exposure to you and our training material, but because we have such a small, devoted group, they get that hands-on experience. They get help from the people sitting next to them,
right? And
they get to shadow them and work with them and learn so much more than they would if they were just, you know, at a larger company and just a number, a cog in the wheel.
Right. And that's one thing that's obviously important for us is we want people to feel like there's a camaraderie there, like everyone's on the same team, the winning team, that is. You know, the other thing that we talk a lot about is the outside training. You know, we work with some outside training firms in order to help promote learning, not only for our new to the business entry-level folks, but also for our seasoned, established folks, you know, whether you have 15, 20 years in the business. You know, for us, I think that the culture works better if you're open to learning and evolving and training, because I don't think you can ever learn too much. You know, I think I learn new things every day. I think y'all teach me things that I never knew or thought of, and that's one thing that we're always trying to make sure that we're cognizant of that. In fact, you know, I saw a stat today that was talking about artificial intelligence and saying that I want to say it was 60% of the jobs by 2025 will be heavily impacted by artificial intelligence. Of course, wow. What is it? 60% of statistics are made up.
Something like that.
Who knows what that is? But the moral of the story is, the point of the article was that the world is changing, and it continues to change, and it continues to evolve. And 10 years ago, I guess we had an iPhone, but it was nowhere where it is today. And 20 years ago, we certainly didn't have iPhones, and that really wasn't even a concept that, unless you were with Apple, anybody was really thinking about. With that being said, it seems to bode well for people to have a quest for knowledge and a quest for learning. Do you find that to be the case?
Oh, I do, especially in this business. I think the hungry people are the ones who are really gonna stand out and make it for the long haul. And so, you know, if you're hungry and passionate about real estate and going out there and hustling, you're just going to be learning more. And right. So you have to have that thirst for knowledge to go along with it.
Right. And, you know, we talked a little bit about how for you, so much of your role is finding those people, finding good people. And we talk a lot about with other entrepreneurs, with other business owners on this show, we talk about making sure that we're growing and scaling. And most of these businesses, if you own and operate a business, you're in the people business, and it's the people aspect that drives it. Can you share with us a little about what your role entails from that standpoint, and what you're looking for, and how these people stand out when because they're applying to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
how do they stand out? What are you looking for?
Yeah, well, of course, it is a real estate company, so you have to have that passion and that excitement for real estate. But beyond that, we really are looking for people who are proactive, are persistent, and can take charge. This business requires a lot of self-regulation and independence, and so if you don't have those characteristics, it's going to be more of an uphill battle. And so we really are looking to recruit the best, and so that's what it takes.
And as far as the people that you get, the resumes that you see, are there certain tenure levels that you're looking for? Is it everybody across the board? Are there any what are the biggest differentiators, or is there something that you say we're looking for that?
I would say we're looking for people with all sorts of background in terms of experience or years in the business. And really, we're just looking for individuals who have that unmentionable factor and that I believe can really fit with our company, because it's a big pull factor. And a lot of the reasons why I started working at Whitebox is the culture. It's exciting, it's energetic, and we have to perpetuate that as we continue to grow and scale. That since that is such a big part of our company, that it continues to be. Right.
And culture and the people are everything.
Absolutely.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that. As far as things that stand out to you, I remember 10 years ago, it was everybody that's getting into business, we're looking at their extracurricular activities. We're looking at, they did volunteer work in somewhere. Are there certain things that trigger, that connect with you, that people, when you see that, you're more inclined to scrub that?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of it is involvement in doing those extracurriculars or activities. If we're looking at college students, it's who's not just a part of a team, but who's taking a leadership role, who's really getting involved and helping to shape that organization that they're a part of. Because those are the type of people that we want, people who can get invested in something and want to contribute to a team.
Right. And as far as, I was recently published in an article that was about a college degree being a prerequisite for commercial real estate, for the industry. And there's things that I agree with as it relates to that and things that I don't agree with as it relates to that. But what are some of the prerequisites and things that you look for? I mean, do they need to have a real estate license? Do they need to have a master's? Do they need to have a college degree? What are some of the things that you look for?
Sure. Having a real estate license is very important, or at least working towards a real estate license. And that just helps to show that this isn't just something you saw on a job board and clicked apply to, but it's really something you're interested in and want to make a career out of. And then, having a master's degree and a college degree can be really important. It's good signaling, especially if someone had a job while at college during the summer or something, to show that they are willing to work hard and put themselves out there. But, that being said, you could find a great candidate that doesn't have a college degree, but that would take more, weeding out and having to.
How important do you view the master's degree?
Not really. I think you nailed it saying
so. I will challenge that, and that it depends on which vertical I think you're looking at. Wouldn't you say?
I would agree.
Because
yeah.
if you're on the tenant rep side, maybe it's not as critical as if you're on the investment sales side. Just given the technical level, would you disagree with that?
No, I mean if you're working on the investment sales side, you have to have that business acumen, the financial knowledge that goes along with it, and so
and the sizes are so different. But that's not to say that it's not helpful for the tenant rep side either. You've been at Whitebox now fairly recent, but what are some of the things that attracted you to Whitebox? What are some of the things that you like about it that when you talk to these folks, you say, you know what, this is a differentiator?
Yeah. So, I mean, the number one thing I would say is just the level of excitement in the office. You started this company clearly because you love real estate, you love the space, and I think you have transmitted that to all the people working on Whitebox in general. Is everyone's really excited. They're happy to be there. They're happy to come to work. They want to work. And just being in that environment makes you smile a little bit, and you're excited to come in.
And you're not just saying this for a raise.
Oh, no, of course not.
But you heard that, right? That's what I thought.
Heard. I got it.
And you know what are some of the biggest surprises, maybe in a good way, maybe in a bad way, that you've
Sure. I don't know if I've
seen?
had any surprises necessarily, but I've been learning a lot. You know, it's a new industry coming in from the financial service side,
Right.
but there are you know what? There we go. A surprising amount of similarities in the
Okay.
tactics that people use.
You know, the financial services industry and the real estate industry often have a poor ideology in the marketplace, and oftentimes that's because generations past have eroded the trust of the consumers. Can you speak to the industry specifically as it relates to real estate and whether or not those stereotypes ring true?
Sure. Well in an industry that's largely, when we're talking about tenant rep, largely sales based.
Right.
The people who are going to stand out the most are either the best, who provided the best service, and that's why they're memorable, or you have the worst, who is just the salesperson who just bugged you, didn't know anything, and that's why they stand out. And so, you know, these it can get a bad name for itself, but I don't think it reigns true overall. But that's just, it can be what stands out to individuals.
And you know, there's a question as to trust and honesty within this profession. What have you found as far as the fiduciary of the people and the professionals and the trust and honesty factor? And you're saying this is to a certain extent a little bit of a neutral party in that you're not one of them. You obviously hire them and recruit them and are responsible for them. How do you view that?
Well, especially since Whitebox is independent, we don't have these large corporate accounts that also own the buildings, even though the tenant brokers aren't necessarily working on the behalf of that building. So we have distance that way, which I think helps build trust just right out the gate. Because when we go to a client or prospective client and say, hey, we're really working for you, we are. And so
Right.
that, you know, that just
No conflict.
Exactly. That's a huge helper. And then, you know, we just have such great people that as you work with us and get to know us more, that trust builds automatically.
Now, real estate companies, like any business, they're in varying sizes, big, small. What have you found? What do you feel as far as the size that Whitebox is? Obviously, we have grand expectations to grow, but what do you feel as far as the size expectations and the space allowing for players of our size?
Yeah, I think Whitebox is in a really interesting space where we kind of offer the best of both worlds in terms of what a small firm can bring and what a large firm can bring. You know, I started talking about the small firm trust earlier, but we really do have that client first mentality. You know,
Right.
the customer's needs has to come first, and so that's a great part about working at a small firm. You have that. You have the ability to manage your client's business start to finish. It's never going to get handed off, and so you get
Right.
this ownership, and you get to see the impact that you're having on the business, which is great. And then on the other side, you know, we have a lot of employees, you being one of them too, at Whitebox, who used to work at these bigger firms, and so we bring along those efficiencies. We have, you know, we have a new CRM system that's going to come up and
That's
be
right.
state of
That's
the
a big,
art.
exciting rollout that'll be happening this month.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have, you know, the ability to act and play like a big firm while having the values of a small firm, and so I think that poises us in a very interesting position.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more with that. As far as you said that from a pool of applicants standpoint, we're looking for people of varying degrees of experience in the industry, from little to none to experienced. What are people that you're not looking for? Is there a certain type of person that you would say this just isn't really a good fit for who we are?
Yeah, anyone who. So I'd hesitate to just put a wide blanket statement out there, because who knows what you like until you try it.
Right.
It could always be a good fit, but someone who typically prefers to be in more of an analytics role and just wants to get the list of today's duties, get on a computer, ride the Excel pony, and just chop away at their work and then go home at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, that
probably isn't the person we're looking for.
So self-starters is what you're saying. They got to be self-starters, go-getters. And I would say probably energetic.
Oh,
would
yeah.
you say that?
Yep.
So how do people, how do people know if this is the right industry for them?
If someone's on the fence, I think just the easiest thing to do is have a conversation.
Right. If you're open to that.
If that's with us, yeah, great, absolutely. I'll walk someone through it, tell them more about the day-to-day, what it would be like, and that's how you find out if you like it or not. Okay.
Well, we got a couple minutes left. One thing that I always like to do is I like to talk a little bit about something that's not business related.
All right.
Now, you're a big rugby player, right?
Yeah.
You did that in college? Did you do it in high school?
Yeah, didn't do it in high school, and I came to SMU, and day one they have this thing called Night at the Club, and every club that the school has is in the gymnasium, and all the freshmen are just walking through these rows of tables.
Speed dating for clubs, huh?
That's exactly what it was, yeah. And these two guys just grabbed me out of that, made me put my email down on their sheet. And I was just walking away, and they're like, "No, you're actually going to come." And so they followed up with me, dragged me to a practice, and that's when I found out about the sport and just really liked it and got involved.
And you did it all through college, right?
Yep, all through college.
Do you still do it?
I do. I'm playing on the graduate team, which is a lot of fun, and I'm looking for a men's club to get me a few
there
more
you
games.
go. You can reach out to him about jobs, or you can reach out to him about a men's rugby club, because he's open to either one.
You're bearing the lead here, Andy. That's what's
his inbox is going to blow up overnight.
Watch out.
Sounds good.
So how do people get a hold of you?
Sure. There's a careers at whiteboxrealestate.com, and that's our email for hiring.
Okay, careers at whiteboxrealestate.com.
Yep.
And I guess the phone number, is there a good phone number? Just the main line?
Yeah, just the office main line.
Okay, 214-380-4540. Andy Bartels, it's such a pleasure to have you on and to talk about that. Anything we missed as far as who you are, what you do, our hiring process, who we're looking for?
I don't know. I think we got through most of it.
All right, cool. Well, thank y'all, everybody, for tuning in today. I'm Grant Pruitt, signing off.